You don't need more time. You don't need to be more prepared. You don't need any money. You don't need more books or courses. What you do need to do is start right now. People create this fear that's holding them back. And then when they actually start going through it and they start facing themselves, they realize like, this is never as hard as I thought it was. And I'm also better than I realized.
Noah Kagan is an entrepreneur, content creator, author, and the founder of AppSumo, an e-commerce company worth over $270 million. He teaches people how to build successful businesses and emphasizes the importance of starting today.
Because most people say they want to be a millionaire. And the problem is I ask them, how much money have you made in your business? How much money have you made on the side hustle? Zero. And so they don't become a millionaire because they haven't become $1 in it. All business starts with $1. And what I recommend for people to get their first dollars, make it as simple as possible. So if you had to get $1 right now, how would you go get it?
Hi, it's Erica Kohlberg, and before we dive into today's podcast episode, I have an exciting announcement that can help you save an extra $1,000 without having to penny pinch or change your lifestyle. On Monday, I'm running my free 5-day savings challenge, where you'll discover simple and creative ways that you can save extra money every month. And whatever you want to do with that extra money is up to you. I'll just show you how to save it. The challenge is totally free to join. All you need to do is go to erica.com/go. Erica is with a K, and you can secure your spot. By the way, these strategies that you're going to discover can help you easily save money, whether you're a budgeting novice or a finance expert. And they're going to get better and better throughout the week. But I have to tell you, I'm so excited about this and don't want you to miss out. In November of last year, we ran a savings challenge and had over 200,000 people sign up. And on average, people saved $1,005 that month through what they learned in the challenge. That means our challengers collectively saved over $200 million. So trust me when I say you don't want to miss out on this one. And the deadline to sign up to be part of this free challenge is Sunday, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you secure your spot and get free access today. Again, that's erica.com/go, ERIKA.com/go. See you inside. I'm Erica Kohlberg, and you're listening to the Erica Taught Me podcast. So how did you make your first dollar online?
I built a student discount card business called ninjacard.com. And so they were $10 cards that I was selling at UC Berkeley, like these discount cards that you could use at the local restaurants.
And you partnered with the local restaurants to do that?
So what happened, I was an RA, you know, RA in the dorms, and there's all these really smart freshmen. And I was like, and that's business, right? It's like, what's the problem or opportunity? And they're all super smart. And I was like, what are you guys doing for the summer? They're like, nothing. So I said, why don't we create a consulting company and we'll go around to local businesses and we'll have them pay us to market to the college campus. And so we were starting to do it, and we were getting a few customers with not a lot of money. And this one guy, Kenny, and he's like, hey, why don't we do a discount card? I was like, let's do it. You know, and I think in business, a lot of times we're making money. It's just getting in the action of starting will lead you to that place. And so in that moment, we went to these same restaurants. We went to our favorite restaurants at Berkeley and said, hey, we're going to do a discount card. Will you give us a discount? We'll put it on a card and promote it on campus. And they're like, does it cost us anything? I'm like, no. Got 20 deals or so, printed out a card, like a plastic ninja card. And then I gave it to the Greek system.
Yeah.
So I went to all the fraternities, gave them the card, and then let them sell it. And they kept half. And then we created a website to sell it online. So that was the first time ever for $10. And I remember being so excited to make the PayPal sale and then put it in an envelope and then mail some of these cards too. It was so exciting.
Isn't it funny how that was your first dollar online? And then now when you think about AppSumo, which is, I think, doing $80 million a year, that's essentially the same concept, right?
I just love good deals. It doesn't matter how rich you get. Everyone loves good value. And yeah, I think I've just been in the game swinging. There's also so many things that I did try online. Even to this day, about a month ago, someone read The $1 Million Weekend, built a website called lawof100.com, which is a thing I teach in the book. And I bought it from him for $2,500. And I'm trying to get people to use it. And I'm like begging people to use it.
What is it?
Don't worry about it. No. It's a site to build a habit by doing something 100 times.
Okay.
But people can't even get to like 2. They're like stopping at 2. And it's like, oh, that's interesting. And so I was talking with some of the customers on Friday. And I said, hey, you guys aren't using this. Is there any feedback? And like, yeah, we just don't have habits. It's not something we want to do. And I was like, well, here's another problem I've been having, which is I want to be able to sell something online in under 60 seconds. So if you came up with the glass or you came up with these like little wood holders, how do you sell it really quickly or see if people want it? What do you do? Like Shopify, Gumroad, Kajabi.
Run an ad to it, right?
Run an ad to it maybe. But like, what if you just want to like put it on a site in 60 seconds, send it to some people, post it on social media and see if people will buy? And I was like, there isn't anything like that. So I asked them, I was like, all right, who here will pay me $10 and I'll build it this week? So last Friday, we got $500, 50 people, $10 each, which is still really exciting to get your first sale. And then this week, we're building out I think it's going to call landpan.com. But it's reversing it. Instead of building, trying to find people, it's finding a problem people are excited, they pay you, and then you build it.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
How do you find time for that?
The way I run, AppSumo, I think this year will do $100 million in revenue this year, which is crazy.
Wow.
It all started with the same thing as the Ninja card. It all started with one $12 sale. And I think I was thinking about it, I was like, I share it because it's available for anyone to do. It's not that you meet me and I'm like, Erica's definitely better than me. I don't know if you guys can tell. She's smarter, she's more aggressive, she's a better leader. I have my own traits, but it's available for everyone to do this entrepreneurship stuff worldwide for free. And I share that AppSumo was the same thing. It just started. And in terms of time for things, there's a lot of ways I run the company, plus be a good family man, plus a book, plus the social media. But the main thing I would say is very clear goals, and I hire CEOs. So every one of my projects or businesses has CEOs, and this stuff is like, it's just a fun hobby. And there's a guy, David, who I'm like, he wants to build businesses. So I'm like, all right, here's the money and here's the business.
How are you finding those good CEOs though?
So I think the best way to find talent, most of the common advice is wrong. And what they tell you to do is like, you go look at these people, they have like cool pedigrees. Like they went to some fancy college or they worked at somewhere cool. And I think they're generally overpriced and hard to hire. And then the expectations of them are not realistic. So what I have found to be the best way to hire people is find people who are already in your audience or who are already in your customers or already in your network that like what you're doing, that have a lot of aptitude, and they have good attitudes. And so let me give you some examples. Alona came in at AppSumo as our email marketing manager. Email marketing. And so she's a phenomenal. She's such a badass. Now, what you have to do though, is you have to pair these people with coaches and experts. Because Alona is now the CEO of AppSumo. I can't tell you how much she makes, but it's a lot. And the reason she did it, one, is because she's fucking badass, but two, it's because she has a coach from, WordPress. So she has a coach from WordPress who coaches with her. She has a CEO coach from Reboot.io. She's met with other leaders that we're connecting her with. So you have to pair basically more affordable talent that has the ability with people who can coach them to get to that level. And that's basically what I've done just across the board in these different businesses.
And then how do you make sure that they stay committed to your brand rather than now that they've gotten all the coaching and the training, they go shop the next highest offer?
They don't watch this video. So how, because here's the way I've really shifted my mentality on that. So last year, and this sounds more dramatic than it is, but the YouTube team quit entirely. Right. And they all quit for different reasons. And it was a good reminder for me that you should disproportionately pay excellent talent. Like pay them so much that there's really nothing better for them to do, and treat them so well, there's nowhere else they want to go. And I regret, shout out Jeremy, shout out Cam, shout out Josh, that I didn't just pay him double. And I was in the sauna with Jeremy on Friday, and I said, if I paid you double, would you have just stayed? He's like, yeah, I think my dream was to have my own business, but I probably would have stayed. So now going back to AppSumo, I think you do two things. One, you pay them so much that there's not a better place they can make more money. Like they're becoming a millionaire as an employee, which is not normal. And then secondly, you leave them alone. You let them do whatever it is that they want to do with a very clear goal of what you're expecting. So for example, with Alona, we have a very clear goal at AppSumo, which is our net revenue target, which is 56.6 million for 2024. She knows that. She can run whatever, and she's smarter than me and better than me, so she knows what is best for the business to be able to get to that number this year. And that applies with Sean as well. Sean came in at AppSumo as our junior salesperson, like the lowest person out of 100. And now he's VP of all of our revenue. Same thing. He's got coaches, he's got advisors. And I think people want to do great work and they want to be left alone, more or less, with some support around that.
Yeah. How did you become a better leader going from your $1 business to now the $100 million business?
A lot of ups, a lot of treating people badly, having a lot of self-doubt was what initiated it. And I think what we don't realize in business, we feel like there's like here and then perfection. And what it's really is, it's here in practice and practice and practice and practice. And there's iteration of improvements. And I'll give you tactics on how to get better at that. But I started AppSumo, and then maybe about 4 years ago, the CEO who was running it quit one day. And he calls me and he quit. And I was like, can you just stay, dude? Like, you're doing all the work. I'm getting rich. Like, even though I'm not satisfied, it was a pretty good deal. And he's like, nah, I just don't want to do this anymore. And I really respected that because he's making 7 figures. And he was like, no, I want to go just do my own thing. His name's Ayman Al-Abdullah, and he's phenomenal. We hire him as a CEO coach. He coaches different people in the company. And so he quit, and I came back and I had to run the company, and I was very afraid of ruining it. I think a lot of us, when you actually have had a little bit of attention, or you've had a video work, or you've had a book that had success, you're like, well, I don't want to fuck this up now. But that's also the time to keep doing the thing that got you there. So when I came back, I basically just made a ton of mistakes in terms of leadership. And I think there's things you can do on leadership very tactically that will help you. So specifically, number one, I would say do quarterly surveys from the people that you're around. So we did it Monday, Wednesday. We did it Monday, which is our quarterly survey. And so there's 3 questions. I have to double check the form. But number 1 question is, do you believe in the direction of the company? Number 2 is, do you feel safe to speak your voice within the leadership team? Number 3, do you trust Noah? So when I came back, it was all red. It was all red. And I think bar graphs or line graphs are great ways to visualize things and how to see traction or how to see progress.
Meaning they didn't trust you.
No, they thought I sucked. And I was pretty and I rushed very quick in the wrong direction. And we can talk more about some of the leadership things. But so number 1 is feedback. And by the way, you don't have to be a CEO to get feedback. You can get feedback from your husband. You can get feedback from your employer. You can get feedback from your manager. It's the easiest way to improve anything in life. So every quarter for the past 3 years, we've done that same survey. And the important part of the survey is not just seeing the poor ratings, but it's asking, okay, what's the one thing you want him to do this quarter that will improve that rating? Because it's not, otherwise I'm going to go guess. Don't guess. Just let them tell you how they want you to get better. And so that's been a dramatic shift in my leadership. I would say coaching and mentors. So noticing the gaps of your leadership style. So Ayman Al-Abdullah has been a great coach in just really slowing down, like teaching me to slow down, because I'm like wanting to start a new business and a new business and the next thing. He's like, no, what's working? Just go do that. Like, for example, we have tidycal.com. This is how we grow AppSumo, which is we build low-cost products that are gateway candy into AppSumo. So TidyCal is, I think I'll do around $2.5 million this year, but it's the number 1 way people find out about AppSumo. So I go to Ayman and I say, hey man, we got this thing, TidyCal, it's blowing up. I'm going to start a new product. He's like, hold on. You have this thing that's working and it's growing AppSumo and you want to do a new thing? What did you hear me say? I was like, that you're always right and I'm always wrong. So it was
the shiny object syndrome?
It is, but it's also being mindful to have, and we can talk more about leadership stuff. He gave me that feedback. I went back to David, who runs all of the originals, and I was like, let's not start something new unless you have a new team. Let's keep doing more of what works. And there's been a lot of different things. So other leadership stuff that's helped is having core principles and values, which I used to think was total bull. And I would zone out when people talk about it, which everyone does. But what are the principles you want to run the company by? What's the principles you want to run your leadership by? Right. So an easy other hack that I've done for myself in terms of improving my leadership is that every Friday I do my own review. Every single Friday. I haven't missed a Friday. And it's a review on how did my week go, 1 through 5? Was I consistent in my behavior, 1 through 5? And what are the 3 things I want to do next week? And it's been an insightful thing about how I want to spend my time. It goes to my executive assistant and the chief of staff. And then they'll see what I'm reviewing and rating, and they'll help me keep working and making each week better and better.
That's interesting. And do you think you usually stick with those 3 things?
Most of the time, yeah. I actually did an analysis last week. I didn't realize how much time I spend planning. As much as I'm a doer and a person of action, that's what I literally teach others. I think once you get something going, the strategic advantages will happen as you are thinking more about it. So I probably spend more time planning my calendar, which is not sexy. People don't want that hack. There's no sexiness there. But that is the sexiness to get to $100 million or beyond.
How would you react if I told you there's an easy way to turn your everyday purchases into free flights, hotel stays, and incredible travel experiences? Well, there is. It's called Kudos, a free AI-powered wallet that helps you maximize your credit card rewards and benefits when you shop online. Kudos makes it easy to earn more travel rewards by automatically suggesting the best credit card to use on each purchase to ensure that you're always racking up the highest miles, points, or cash back. And with Kudos' partnership with the Points Guy, you can also discover new credit cards and get access to the highest sign-up bonuses possible. Kudos is so easy. It's like using Apple Pay, Honey, and NerdWallet all in one. But Kudos doesn't just help you earn more rewards, it also helps make shopping a breeze by autofilling your credit card info with one click. So what are you waiting for? Kudos works on all major desktop browsers and your iPhone. Just click the link below and use code Erica to get Kudos for free today. No hidden fees, just more cash back into your own pocket. It's no wonder Kudos is trusted by over 200,000 members and was awarded the #1 app to multiply your rewards by card rates. If you're ready to start turning your everyday purchases into free travel, just click the link below and sign up with code Erica to get $20 back after your first eligible purchase. Stop leaving money on the table and start getting more out of your credit cards. Click the link below and use code Erica to get Kudos for free today. And how do you make sure that your tasks that you're doing are high level enough that it makes sense for you to be doing them?
I'm probably not doing great at that. I think there's different stuff. I'm sure there's a framework people can make up. I think it's also like, what do I enjoy and how do I want to spend my week? So something like this is a high leverage activity. I can come talk to one person and it's going to reach hundreds of thousands. Like that's a high leverage activity. Conceptually lately, my whole thought is I shouldn't do anything. So I'm trying to do nothing. And what that means is that if I'm actually doing work, I don't have the right people or process in place across these different areas. And my goal is to not be tired at 5 o'clock. So for instance, with the YouTube team, we have a video editor, we have a new creative director, we have a social media guy who's 17, who's awesome. Shout out Jay Yang. I love this guy. He makes more than his teachers and the principal. And I'm talking to Jay, and then Isaac behind the camera. And so I'm talking to him. I'm doing my emails at 9 p.m. on a Wednesday, and they go out Thursday morning. I'm doing work. And this, by the way, conceptually is very strange for people because you're like, what do you mean you have to do work? But my job is to find the people and pay them exceptionally well. And they enjoy doing that work and they're getting their growth through it. So what happened this week, my priority in terms of main things, but I don't want to be doing work in YouTube besides going on here or creating the content. So I hired Sylvie Bryant, to be the chief of staff on all things Noah Kagan. So now as things come up, so for instance, there's a contract for the video person, Sylvie. And I asked Sylvie if she wants to do this. She doesn't want to do this. She wants to make more YouTube videos. So I said, Sylvie, what you want is to make YouTube videos. I'll pay you a lot of money so you can do that. And can you help me with chief of staff stuff, which is really being like another CEO of Noah Kagan. And so now the contract goes through Sylvie. Now the content scheduling goes through Sylvie. Now hiring goes through Sylvie. Now, if I'm trying to get on a podcast, it's going to go through Sylvie. So it's more reducing the amount of actual work and finding the people that will help execute the work.
What do you think you've gotten absolutely right from the beginning?
I have picked the industries over and over and over and over and over. Like, look at my track record on this. I picked Facebook before anything, 2004.
You were employee number what?
30 at Facebook, and I'm still talking about it 20 years later. I picked Mint.com, personal finance.
Number 4.
Number 4, thank you so much. I was the #1, I did Facebook games. So this whole iPhone app game developer, biggest app developer, I was #1. Then I did the payments for these games. I built Stripe before Stripe. I a little bit, but yeah, I had Stripe and it all funded me. Then what was it after that? After that, did this Groupon thing, AppSumo. That worked out pretty well. Then I did sumo.com. That got to 6.5 million ARR, SaaS as a business. Then content creation, pretty damn well, 1 million person sub channel. And now content creation, there's so many people on YouTube now. I'm a YouTuber, which is great. So I think I've had a good sense of what industries are going to get bigger. So I think I've done a great job of that. I think I've been exceptionally good with picking talent.
Why did you see such potential in YouTube?
I mean, my first YouTube video is 2006, I think before you were born. So it wasn't in 2006. They came to Facebook and pitched us. And I was like, okay, we're Facebook. We don't care about you, Steve and Chad. Shout out to Steve and Chad. I just enjoyed it. It was when COVID happened. And I think what happens with most people, especially with entrepreneurship and finance, they kind of dabble and then they pull back. And they dabble and pull back. And it's like, you're never going to have the experience unless you get in the water. And so in 2020, when COVID hit, I was like, I'm just going to do 100 videos and I'm going to see what happens. And so I did my first video shirtless in my house down the street here. It's a small house. I was like post bike ride and it was just fun. And it was in that point that it wasn't necessarily how big YouTube was going to be per se, but it was just that I enjoyed the content creation. I had 300 views and I was like, this is really cool. I like that people want to comment. I want to reply to their comments.
Yeah.
I want to, I like the creativity of it all. And then I tried all the platforms. So I tried TikTok, I tried Instagram, I tried all of them. And it was clear to me then that relative to the amount of work and amount of people that are competing there, it was going to be easier to get a larger audience relative to the effort.
On YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you build more loyal followers on YouTube. I think I would rather have 100,000 on YouTube than 1 million on TikTok.
Yeah, I think TikTok's trash. I think it's total trash. I think my mom loves it though. I can't swear she would be mad at that. She's like, "Oh, you see this baby video?" I'm like, "Mom, stop sending me TikToks. I don't want to."
I love it as a user.
Do you? Oh, I try.
love it.
I like. It's like literally, I'm like trying to get addicted.
I don't try. I just am addicted.
I'm always, what are you doing? I don't know. And people are like, dude, let me show you this one thing. Everyone does it. Let me show you the one. I got this one. I don't know. It's so bad. Like, it's so low. No offense to you or any. Yeah, offense to everyone. It's so lowbrow Netflix content. It's like no substance. It's total calories.
It is so good.
Like, I feel like YouTube, I spend maybe 20 hours a week watching YouTube. I love YouTube is like
I
me.
can't do YouTube anymore.
Oh, really?
Oh, I will not sit through a
Subscribe to Noah Kagan. Watch my video.
Your channel's good.
No, but like, I think it's also making content. I don't watch any of the other business people. I don't know. I admire certain entrepreneurs and most of them don't do content. Most of the people I admire are not making social media.
Yeah.
So that's where it's interesting. So there's a lot of non-business related stuff I just love.
I don't have the attention span anymore. I've just consumed too much TikTok.
No, but at 2x, I watch everything at 2x with captions.
Still too long. What do you think, since you have been so good at picking the next thing, what do you think the next thing is?
What am I doing? Not what I'm saying. So let me tell you what I'm doing. What I am doing is focusing on a customer specifically. I'm interested in software creators and the solopreneur economy. So I think creator economy is a subset of the freelancer revolution. I had to literally take a server and put it in a co-location space. And now I literally saw guys on Twitter in a day launching like full-fledged apps for free. And so I think there's just a huge market of people that are like jobs, or I have a job and I just want to have my own creativity side income. Now, what are all those things that those people need? I think the success mostly in business, but specifically in content, is just stick with it. Just stick with it. If you can stick with it in content, you'll be successful. Most people quit after 6 videos. Most people never start, and the ones that do don't stay with those 6 videos.
Yeah, I always say that most people on YouTube quit right before they're about to find success.
100%.
So do you think if we're looking 10 years in the future and I look at your net worth, your portfolio, do you think most of your money is going to be coming from these businesses that you're creating now, the software solutions?
Can I pitch one more idea?
Yeah, tell me.
I really want Airbnb for co-working spaces.
Yeah.
I do not. And so what I mean specifically is like, this house is an Airbnb, but you really just wanted an office. So how do you and Airbnb guests suck. They're so like, I've had them at my house. I have a few Airbnbs. They just like literally like, it's just rough, right? They don't care.
Yeah.
But office people are good people.
They are.
So why isn't there Airbnb for offices where houses, each room turns into a separate co-working spot? And it's just a platform around that. That's just like such a thing I've been wanting, because we're having a kid and I want to be able to leave the house potentially to have a studio, have an office. I think there's 100% going to be, I don't know if it's $1 billion, but $100 million business around that.
That's so good. Even going to WeWork, paying $30 or whatever it is for the day pass, I struggle. I'm like, I don't want to pay $30. But if it were a nice house, I would pay $25.
Or you have your own room, right? So for $400 a month, and there's these houses that I don't want Airbnb guests in my house ruining it. Because I've even as you get wealthier and have more money, I still like the hustle. I still love the dollar. I'm like, oh, Airbnb my guest house, which I did. People just trash it. And I'm like, why am I doing this and annoying myself? In terms of my net worth, 99% of my net worth is in the equity of AppSumo, which there's 2 types of entrepreneurs. There's Silicon Valley entrepreneurs and there's cash flow entrepreneurs. And so Silicon Valley is only about if you IPO or sell your company. Now, cash flow entrepreneurs, it's not about the valuation of your business. It's only about the amount of cash and profit you're able to take off the table. And so AppSumo is a little bit of a mixture of both. So like last year, I shared our numbers. I think last year we did, net revenue, not gross, but net revenue was like 53 million. Net revenue, the actual income is $7.1 million profit, which is pretty good. Like we're pretty happy about that.
And do you have who's splitting that?
Yeah. So, and I'll tell you what we did with that money.
Okay.
The thing though is that sounds good, but to a Silicon Valley investor, they're like, holy shit, that means you have a business worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So yes, I made 3.3 million last year. That's how much I took home. But the company's worth 300 million, let's just say. So I own 60%. Okay, so that's $180 million or a few $100 million. But that's where a Silicon Valley person will look at it versus like a I would say more, for me, like a Midwesterner or some, regular cash flow entrepreneur.
Did you take on funding for that, or
No.
who's the 40%?
The 40%, my business partner, Chad, and this is a great story. If you guys want to get jobs, go do things for free for Erica. Like she literally told you guys, if you listen, hey, I'm looking for a VP of marketing. I'm looking for a VP of revenue. I'm looking for someone to help me with email flows. She's literally telling you what she will pay you for. And what people do is they're like, hey, Erica, can I pick your brain? No, f that. Go send Erica a Google slide presentation with 30 slides about how she should fix her email flows to sell more courses. Go analyze all of Erica's marketing, put together a plan that gives a specific outcome, and send it to her. But people don't do the work, so they don't get the results. They don't get the rewards. And that's how I hired Jay, this 17-year-old making 150, because he sent me a 30-page Google slide about why my email marketing and my social media was crap.
Wow, actually.
Yeah, I can show it to you. It was really good. I was like, dude, you're really good. And then I hired him for $1,000 a month. And then he did it for 3 months. Then I was like, Jay, what would it take for you to come full time? He's like, I'm making $13K with my freelancers. I was like, this is more than I'm spending. How much you want to do? He's like, if we can do 10K and I want to make 150,000 by the end of the year. I was like, great, we'll do an incentive bonus. Now, in terms of the money and the people, my business. So the point of that story is Chad, my business partner, was my customer. So one thing as an entrepreneur is you should always be looking for epic talent.
Mm-hmm.
Notice when you meet teams who you're like, man, I had a sales call, or I had a marketing call, or I had a tweet with someone, and they were really on top of their stuff. Chad was my customer at my payments company, my games company, and he was better than my partners. He was always nice to me. My partners, we were all angry with each other. And so when I started AppSumo, Chad said, hey, I can help build some of these new business ideas that you have for free. So he worked for free for me for a year.
Wow.
Yeah. I had the same problem was, how do I get customers for software creators? But I tried it in other ways that didn't work. And then I was like, hey, come work on AppSumo. We did it for a year. Now Chad's a millionaire. I mean, from his own work. I mean, Chad's amazing. I love this guy, but he owns 25% of the business. I asked him how much he wants to own. I think the easiest way to pay people is just ask them.
How much do you want?
How much do you want? And then you just can give them what they want. And then you look out for them. So if you can give them more and take care of them, do it. You can love my job. But I want the people to get rich. Like, I'm already good enough now. So I'm like, how do I now the rest of the team make a shit ton of money? The ones who are contributing the money. I'm like, I don't know if it's equity, because if I don't sell, they don't get it. But are there other ways we can distribute the cash or value of it to these people?
Yeah.
And then the 7.1 million, I took 3. I don't want to share other people's salary. It's for them to share. The team, we distributed 2 million to the team. And then there's $1 million to the leadership team, $500,000 to our Mexico City retreat. And then I think another 700 or 500,000 on ads, servers, sponsorships.
I think that's transparency is so important. It's really cool. I didn't know you were going to be this transparent.
Me neither. Well, I've gone back and forth. There's a lot of people online talking big numbers, and they'll never show you nothing. And I'm always like, how does no one ever ask about it? And I also experimented sharing. So we talk about test and invest. I'm testing sharing in the past, and it doesn't seem like it's bad press. I shared my salary last year, and I thought the team was going to be really mad at me or jealous of me. And I asked them, I was like, are you guys mad? They're like, no, you work your ass off. You created it. I was like, you sure? It's like, yeah, it's yours. I was like, okay, great. Well, I don't want them I don't want them jealous, or I want them getting taken care of, and I want to feel taken care of. And so I tried sharing, and it did seem that there's a better response.
Yeah.
And I think we take ourselves way too seriously, and we're probably more protective of things that doesn't really matter. Like in terms of people's salaries, I won't share others. I'll share mine. And for AppSumo, I think there's potentially more competition, but I don't necessarily think like that'll be a bad thing. And by me sharing that, we're making money.
Yeah. I don't know if, I think you guys are in your world of your own for AppSumo. I don't know any other companies that do the same thing, but I guess I'm not in the space.
Yeah, I think the takeaway for others to think about and how to replicate the AppSumo business model of sorts. One, the business model is pretty sweet. Like, we don't make any products really. We promote the other product, we collect the money, and then we split it 60 days later. Mm-hmm. So it's like going to a restaurant and they don't have any dishes, but you gave them money for it. And there's a lot more to it. Like there's 100%, our head count a month is 1.2 million. That means if we make $0, I still have to pay 1.2 million just in the team. That's just the team, right? Then you have $50,000 for servers. Then you have 300,000 on ads. And then there's health insurance. And then there's 401ks. And then we have maternity leave. So, it's a, I don't know, $3, $4, $5 million a month cost. So it does take money to be able to run that.
I think that's a lot of the pressure that I feel. I feel like the reason I can have all of these people on my team is because I'm performing and I'm getting the money into the business. And all these people are relying on me. Therefore, I need to work harder and harder and harder to make sure that there's no money crunch there.
How come you started all this? Like, what was your first thought when you were like, oh, I'm going to start recording, and you're a lawyer and you didn't like it necessarily, or maybe you liked it? Like, what were you thinking it would be?
I thought of myself when I quit the law firm, I really just wanted to help more people. Like many lawyers, I went into law school feeling like I want to be an advocate for people, I want to help people. But then I fell into the trap of becoming a corporate lawyer where I was helping only the big corporations. So when I quit, I said I wanted to help people. So I started a legal company where I was helping people get legal help for a fraction of the cost of what it would cost for them to get a lawyer. Most people can't afford lawyers. And then at the same time, I started the personal finance brand because I really wanted to help people become better with their money. And that was because I didn't grow up with money. I didn't learn about money growing up. And suddenly, when I graduated from law school, I had $200,000 of debt and realized I have no idea what to do. So the process of learning how to get out of that debt and just becoming more financially literate, I said that when I paid off the debt, I wanted to find a way to give back and help people become better with their money. So that's how it happened. And then kind of has merged together where now I feel very much like financial literacy and reading the fine print is like, it fits nicely together to help people.
I ask because I think it's also nice to revisit that.
Yeah.
Like with AppSumo, we've had these moments where we promote really products. I'm like, why am I allowing that? Like, why am I accepting that in my world? And maybe revisiting why we started it, right? Like, I'm here to promote cool things and promote cool people, right? And now with the book, I help people do it for themselves. So I think maybe even exploring that, where it's like, how much time am I actually spending helping or creating the content, which sounds like the areas you enjoy doing versus the operational businessy stuff, which you could be great at. I'm not saying you're not, but having other people support in those areas.
No, I mean, the mission is to help as many people become financially free as possible. And I feel really good about that. That is the driving force behind what I do. But it's just, there's a lot of stuff that comes with it, with growing and trying to reach many people, right?
How many people have you helped get free?
I've helped probably, I don't know. Like I have these free challenges where I help people learn how to save money. I help people learn how to invest. And over 1 million people have gone through those challenges.
Damn.
And for the savings challenge, I know that on average, people save $1,005 from going through that challenge.
$1,005?
Yeah.
I'll send it to my girlfriend. Oh, that's good. Save some money. Well,
So-
where do we find those challenges?
It's erica.com/go, G-O.
Solid. I was just saying, because I, in business, I think we have inauthentic goals and we have overly ambitious goals where it's like, I want to help. It's like, no, I want to help 100 people with their financial freedom this year. And then as you're mindful of that, for me, like with my book, it was like, how do I get 1,000 reviews?
You're almost there.
I'm
You're
at-
at
I'm very
812.
Everyone counts. But that to me mattered. I feel like I can talk to 1,000 people, help them read the book, help them do one thing for themselves. And if they feel they want to, leave a review about it. And so I think sometimes just reconnecting, like, what are we doing this for?
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of ways of making money, which is awesome, but just find a way you want to do it and then, stay kind of connected to the meaning of it.
What do you think actually is the easiest way for people to make their first dollar online? Or just their first dollar in general? If they have only really had a traditional job where they're working on a salary.
In the book, page 11, I literally give people their first dollar.
Okay.
So I've given out thousands of dollars to people with their first dollar. And the biggest breakthrough in that is most people say they want to be a millionaire. They say, hey, I would like to be a millionaire. And the problem is I ask, how much money have you made in your business? How much money have you made on the side hustle? 0. And so they don't become a millionaire because they haven't become a dollaraire. And so I'm trying to encourage the dollaraire is that all business starts with $1. And what I recommend for people to get their first dollars, make it as simple as possible. So if you had to get $1 right now, besides this one, how would you go get it? If you had to get it today, if you just had it literally today.
I would ask for it.
Yeah. And who would you ask? Who's the first person that comes to mind?
Oh, a random person. I was in Barcelona like 4 months ago and I needed money for the bus and my euro that I had was too big. They wouldn't let me come on the bus with it. So I just had to ask random strangers for $1 and it was so mortifying. I asked maybe 15 people before someone said yes.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I hope no one recognizes me.
It's not for TikTok. No, and so I think what's interesting about that is a lot of times in business, we make it harder on ourselves than we have to. So you're married. How come you didn't think of asking your husband?
He was with me. He also didn't have money.
Not necessarily in Barcelona, but this is the thing for people out there is that as you're doing businesses, you have skills, you have problems, you have network, whether you're just getting started out or you're been doing it for a long time, that you can ask for help. And so the two things that most people aren't doing is that they never even start to ask, and then they don't ask and ask someone, maybe your husband, maybe your teammate, maybe your sister. And that's the thing people are like, oh, it could be that easy. And I'm like, yeah, that is the best way to start business.
Okay, so you want people to go ask someone else for $1.
Someone they know.
And then what's next?
So let's take a step back. So there's unlimited content out there about starting businesses. There's literally a place called Harvard. Maybe you've heard this place. And the irony, though, is there's all these places, and how come people aren't doing it? Like, that's the fundamental issue at hand. And then the reality is that there's enough recipes, and I have a very specific process of how you do it. But there's two things that hold them back. They'd never start. They talk at work about it. They talk to their friends at the golf course. They've been thinking about it. Oh, I had this idea. Like my girlfriend had an idea recently. Baby clothes that grow with the baby. Pretty good idea. This is what most people do, is they get a domain, they think about it, they talk about it, they try to get more prepared, because that's how we're taught in life. We're taught you have to go to school and follow tests to be prepared. And in entrepreneurship, everyone is ready today. Anyone can do it. So the two things you have to do is you have to start today, right now, and you ask someone for $1. And the second thing is you practice asking. So in the book, I teach the coffee challenge. So you go and ask for 10% off when you buy a coffee. And you realize, one, rejection is not so bad, because that happens in business. And two, by the power of asking, maybe you don't get this, but what can you get in the future? And you realize it's a skill that you can develop. Now, let's take this clothing example. I think the best business problems are the ones you have yourself. So most people, if they had this baby idea, what's the typical approach you'd see on a YouTube video or you would hear people talk about? So what they would do is they get a Shopify site.
Okay.
They get a domain. They have to build in public. So they go get social media. They start a TikTok channel. They go look up Alibaba or AliExpress to find a manufacturer of it. Then they go and try to learn CAD drawing to design the child's product. And they could have found out literally in an hour, asking one friend who has a kid if they would want to purchase growable baby wear. That is the exact same approach that I used at AppSumo.com to start in a weekend, which for $12 was my first sale. Yesterday's sales was $234,000. And I give that example not as a dramatic effect, but it starts very basic. You don't have to do it the hard way.
Mm-hmm. But I think the problem with actually just asking someone, would you buy these growable baby clothing, is most people will say yes. And then when you ask them to pull out their wallet, they actually won't buy it. So I like testing it by actually getting people to pull their wallets out.
That's exactly. I totally agree with you. And most people, a promise to pay or like, oh yeah, that sounds good, why don't you show it to me, is a polite rejection.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the coffee challenge is so powerful, even though it sounds silly, is that you get rejected. That's what I want people to do, is not get a discount, get rejected and realize, oh, let me ask for something again. And again, maybe it's a raise if they have a job. Maybe it's for a husband. Maybe it's for a customer. Maybe it's for an employee. And all this world is asking. And so that is why I focus on in the book starting, because it doesn't always work. And then asking, because eventually if you ask for what you want, you're going to get what you want.
And I think what you're saying about the power of rejection, that's almost more important. Being comfortable being rejected is almost more important than being comfortable asking, because rejection is the reason why most people don't ask. And I feel like this is one thing I'm good at. I don't mind being rejected. I'm so used to getting rejected that I don't mind it.
How'd you get good at it?
Just getting rejected a lot.
But I think what's interesting, and what I've noticed about the coffee challenge specifically, and just starting businesses, is that you're going to ask someone and they're going to say no. And if they say no, you can ask for it, feedback, and say, hey, why didn't you want it? And they'll tell you. And then if they do want it, great. You have a customer, you have a business. And I've seen this. There's a woman named McKinsey. She read the book, $1 Million Weekend, and then she emailed friends. She had a day job at a corporate company. She always wanted to have her own side hustle. So she emailed 6 people, hey, I want to start a greeting card business. Just like, and by the way, I think a lot of people trivialize like these simple, basic businesses. But like, does everyone here know Hallmark cards? Yeah. Everyone knows American greeting cards. Yeah. Like See's Candy. It's $1 billion year from one lady selling chocolate 50 years ago. She sent the email to 6 people. People bought her cards. Oh, that's kind of cool. And then she did it again, and she followed the process, did it again and again. Last year, she did 50,000 selling greeting cards.
Wow.
MaryMakery.com. And this year, she's on track to do 6 figures.
Wow.
And the reality there is that most businesses just don't work. And so you have to keep trying and trying and trying and trying. It took me, I think I did 20 businesses to get to AppSumo. So yes, you see what I'm talking about now, which is running a $100 million a year business and all these things. But it started out from trying to finally find the thing that people are excited to pay me for.
So are there specific businesses in the book that you recommend people try, or after they do the dollar exercise, how do they figure out what is the business to start?
Yeah, the story is told through my journey of like not knowing what the hell to do. How did I figure out a process that other people could follow my technique? There's ways in the book. I literally have like 10 ways that you can get 10 different ideas. Let me just give people 2.
Okay.
Because people either use it, most times it's an excuse. They say, I don't have any ideas, which means they're afraid, or I have too many ideas, which means they're afraid. So the 2 ones that everyone can do literally right now, we were chatting earlier in the show. What is something in your life that's too expensive? That's kind of an interesting one to think about. What did you had? What was the one you said?
Some of the apps I'm using.
The apps, not dating apps. The no, but you're using like QuickBooks. It's like $100 a month. Or here. Let me give you one for me. Again, if you start thinking of all the things you're spending money on that annoy you, those are all. Every problem is a business opportunity in disguise. Last week I had to get passport photos. I went to Walgreens. 8 photos. You know how much it cost?
Like $15, right?
Yeah, $85.
No way.
I almost had a conniption.
$85?
That's a business opportunity.
That's crazy.
And I have to go to Walgreens and I have to wait for them to like figure out what I'm speaking and what I'm saying. And then they have to try to cut the photos. And I was like, why isn't there someone that can come to my house, take a photo, print the passport photos? Why do I even have to drive somewhere else? That's kind of interesting. So that's literally just from a frustration on a Thursday. And you start looking at all the different things that are kind of annoying you from a cost perspective. You start realizing like, oh, those are all business opportunities. So that's number 1, is just look at anything you spend money on. The second thing that I've thought about is that you can just look through your day. And if you start using this as a practice, like literally start. So let me just give you one today. Today, what's been challenging, I have my girlfriend's pregnant and I'm working on, running AppSumo.com and I'm promoting $1 Million Weekend. I don't have time for lunch. I do not know how there's just not a service. This is just going through today. How is there not a service that can just bring me healthy food every day for a reasonable price? I don't want to think about it. I don't want to go on an app and even choose. I want to pay $20 a meal and it's at my door every single day. And so if everyone literally write morning, afternoon, evening and have 2 for each one, and just force yourself to do it as a practice and think of business. This is where people are getting business wrong. They're thinking it as an end result, as an end point. Like I'm either good or bad. But in business, you can do it anywhere in the world with any gender, any height. I'm only 5'9". And as you start practicing it, each of these reps is getting you better and better and better and better to finally you will have something that does work.
That's so good. I remember when I started my first business, that's exactly the process I went through. I went through my entire day or my entire week and thought, what is annoying me?
Love that.
And just took notes down for every single thing that was annoying me. And the one I settled on was I was annoyed with the rental process and finding as a student a place to rent. And they were so expensive and you couldn't tell if they were good. So I created a platform where you would review the apartments you're living in and get incentivized for telling other people about the apartment you live in.
And I love that. And what people miss out on, especially you have a huge finance audience. People think I want to make more money. There is literally no better investment than a business. Starting a business. Buying a business is not what I encourage people to do. Because if you think of the stock market, what's a great stock return? 10%. Wow. Crypto, okay, you doubled. Great. AppSumo and I don't mean that as an arrogant thing. I meant that as go look at the data to make better decisions. If you want to change your life, start a business. Because it's going to take time to do it. And you can then live an ultimately amazing life by having a business so you can live and make the amount of money you want to do.
But what I like about your approach to business from what I've seen in $1 Million Weekend is you don't say, hey, you need $20,000 to start a business. You're teaching people how to essentially start a business with nothing, right? Which is what you've done so many times over.
I've done it time and time and time again. I've also failed a lot of times. And I think that experiences, plus working for Zuckerberg directly, plus helping build Mint.com, which is big in the finance world, RIP, it just shut down. It's helped me figure out a process that others can follow. And you don't need more time. You don't need to be more prepared. You don't need any money. You don't need more books or courses. What you do need to do is start right now. And that's the part that people create this fear that's holding them back. And then when they actually start going through it and they start facing themselves, they realize this is never as hard as I thought it was. And I'm also better than I realized. And that's been something for me in business where it's been, weirdly enough, the best way I've ever learned about who I am and who I can become.
How do you think people should decide whether the idea is working or not? Is it after a certain number of months or is it after you meet or do not meet a certain revenue goal?
Yeah.
Because I think that's the next question people have after.
These are great. No, there's a lot of common misconceptions. I tell people you have 48 hours. That's it. So it's called $1 Million Weekend. It was going to be called $1 Million Day, but no. So the reality though, and what I've seen from myself, tens of thousands of people I've personally helped, and now, this is a New York Times bestseller, an instant one. People are freaking busy. They have husbands, they have wives, they have day jobs, they have stuff going on. They don't have a lot of time, but everyone can give up one Netflix show on a Saturday to change their life. And so what I have found through so many tens of thousands of people is that if you can limit to a weekend, you'll be more creative. If you cannot get 3 customers in those 48 hours, you should give up. And that's great. That's true. You have 51 more chances to find something that people are excited to pay you for.
So you need to find, in this one weekend, you need to find the idea and you need to find the customers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The way that I've noticed it happening for most people, and this is the thing, everyone has a weekend to change their life. Like, I was so frustrated on Sunday nights going to my desk job at Intel. Like, I was living at home with my mom, and I didn't have some big social media following, didn't have like tons of money in my bank account or my parents' account that I could take advantage of. But I did have a desire, and that's available for everyone worldwide for free today. And so I have noticed that people break it out in 2 ways, which is like Saturday is kind of like starting. There's a lot of challenges in the book for fun. Like business, by the way, I think people are missing out. It's a fun experience. Like, you literally get to help another person. They pay you for helping them. How cool is that? So the first part, I would say Saturday is starting it, which is like getting your mind right about starting, practicing asking.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I've noticed is people come up with their ideas on Saturday, and then on Sunday, they do their validation. So Sunday, they do their scripts and templates so that they can actually follow the validation methods in the book.
And what are you seeing that people are getting wrong?
I start the book with frequently made excuses. And so what people don't realize is that all these business things have been solved, and there is answers to every single one of them. What I'm noticing people get wrong, here's an example. There's a guy who, I don't know if I think his name was Hector. He messages me and he goes, "Hey, I asked all these people about my SaaS app. The problem, what he got wrong, and what a lot of people are wrong, is they come with solutions, not problems." He's like, AI. Like, no one cares about AI. They care about that their wife is angry. No one cares about AI. They care about their morning routine. No one cares about AI. They care about the problem. And so he said, I had this problem. I messaged 15 people like you tell me to. All of them love it. I was like, great. Did you ask them to pay? No, they don't want to pay. They want to see it. Okay. Did you ask them how come? What do they actually want to see? He's like, no, I think I'm going to build it. And so what he's going to do incorrectly is spend the next 3-6 months building it. He's going to go back to the people and they will not want it. Now, the question, the natural rejection to that, or response to that is, well, no, yeah, I'm not going to pay for something I don't know what it is, right? So we're in an Airbnb while we're recording this. Did you see it before you paid for it?
Yes.
No, you saw a picture online.
Oh.
You saw a picture online and you said, I like that picture. That's exactly how you can start every single business on the planet. The Tesla that was outside, same exact thing. Did anyone ever see it for 5 years before they pre-ordered it? No. There was a problem of, I have an electric car that's going to be awesome. Here's what it's going to look like. Would you like to pre-order? And because there's $1 billion in pre-orders, they had the capital then develop the car and then deliver it 6 years later. And that applies to how we buy things on Amazon. That applies to how we go to events. That applies to hotels, trips. Everything we do is pre-ordered. And so I recommend people to reverse how they think about that in business.
Okay. So Sunday, open the pre-orders.
Yeah. Let me give you, more examples that I think will help hammer this home. There's a guy, Jake, who lived at my house. So I didn't know this guy. He was a subscriber. He drove in, lived in my backyard.
Wait, actually?
Yeah, this is true. You can see that.
Sounds creepy.
The girlfriend was a little weirded out about it. She's like, so he's going to live with us. But Jake is awesome. And
you invited him to live in your backyard, though?
We had people apply to choose one person to do $1 Million Weekend with me. And it's weird. Jake actually looks like me. We did not look at photos when we chose him, but I was like, wow, he's a really good looking guy. I'm just kidding. And it was interesting to see the things that he went through, but to zoom out and why I think it's relatable for so many other people, he had a job, he has 3 kids, and he didn't want to live a what if life. He's like, I just don't want to do this. I've always dreamed of having my own business. And I want to be a good example for my children. And I was like, dude, that's powerful. I love that. What are some of the things that you are excited to solve the problems for? And he's like, golf trips. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I went on a golf trip 2 years ago. I want to go on more of them. So for weekends free that I can have. Okay, cool. What have you done? He's like, well, in 2 years, I've done a lot of research. And this is the thing. I know it's easy to say that, but like the best way to start a podcast is post a podcast today. The best way to be a content creator is post a video today. The best way to start the business is start the business today. And I will say the hardest part of starting is starting.
Yeah.
And it is possible and it is available and it's free. So with Jake, we did the dollar challenge, which is in the book where there's no other book in the world that pays you. I literally pay you, which is crazy. And it's fun. He does the dollar challenge. He does the coffee challenge. He gets his mind right. He already had an idea. And so we put the idea through the process. And I don't want to get into details. It's in the book. What you have to know with the process is 2 key things. One, is there $1 million of profit for you to make in the next few years? Because you're going to work your ass off either way. Why not make sure that the opportunity is there? Secondly, the 1-minute business model. So do you understand the economics of this business you're doing? So Jake basically was like, I can sell a golf trip for $5K. I'll make $2.5K and I can actually create $1 million business in the next few years. Great. Let's go and call people. Let's create a dream 10 list of people in your network or referrals in your network that you can contact today. He's like, today? I'm like, yeah, today. And so he called. Out of the 10, he made 5 sales. And I think in August, they have a trip. Jake is going to make, I think it's somewhere around $5,000 profit for himself. And that is the beginning of the $1 Million Weekend.
Incredible.
And that's something he's taken 2 years to think about and 2 years to prepare about and 2 years to watch another video. And the way I've thought about this, Erica, is I don't think I've been as positive about myself in a long time. And I'm in my house and I think, holy, this is so cool. I'm like, I can't believe I get to live this life. And it's available for everyone. And it's all because I started 14 years ago in March of 2010. It's literally my anniversary Friday. We do Founders Day at AppSumo. And only because I started and I stuck with it, which people if you find something that works, then stick with it. Most people find something that doesn't work and stick with that. That's a huge problem. 14 years later, I'm just thanking myself. So I encourage people, and there's always one person that'll listen to the show and do something. So I'm always wondering, who's that one person? Who's going to thank themselves for taking that action today in the next 5 years?
I really like what you were saying about setting the deadline too. And I love the time urgency of it because I am someone who I'm usually quite overly analytical. And I remember even starting my first YouTube channel, I took 3 months of thinking about it and researching and analyzing everything. But eventually what I did is I put a deadline and I said I have to post my first video by October 31st, 2019. And I posted it. And then once you actually put the product out there, it all gets a little less scary. Because at that point, it's like, I don't care. It's out there. And I just think for people like me, this $1 Million Weekend concept is really smart because it forces you, puts that urgency on you to take the first action.
Have you read, this is maybe a little off top. Have you read Marie Kondo's Life-Changing Art of Tidying Up?
Yeah.
I love that book. It's a self-help book about your laundry and your clothing. And this is the same thing in what $1 Million Weekend is. It's not a self-help book, but it's a book about realizing who you could become and realizing it's available for you. And I think that was my own experience where I was like, I don't know. And is there ever a book? Is there ever going to be a business for me? Am I ever going to feel good enough to be able to succeed and do these things? And it's like, yes, for me and for others. And that's what I think people will find their confidence. And maybe they create grocery business, $1,000-aire business, or $1 million business and beyond. When you started on all your content stuff, what were you, just maybe that, I think that's kind of interesting. What were you doing for 3 months? Not what were you doing. What were you afraid of for those 3 months? And then what would you tell everyone else who's listening saying, hey, I want to do it, but I haven't done it just like you were?
I was afraid of being laughed at, judgment.
And then what was the moment that you finally decided to face that? And what happened?
I just set that deadline for myself. And I thought that the mission, which was to help people be better with their money, was greater than my fear of being laughed at by my former lawyer colleagues.
What do you think they're saying today?
They're certainly not talking to me.
What are you telling yourself today?
About everything that's happened?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm proud. I'm very happy.
Yeah. I think that's the thing we're missing out on. I remember when I started posting more on social media, I was about to post to my Facebook page. That's such a boomer thing to say. Do people even post on Facebook anymore? This is decades ago. And I was just like, I was worried about this guy, Tommy, who went to high school with me. And I was like, oh, he's going to laugh at me again. I was like, "Got me." And then I did it. And then what we miss out on is all the other people who are excited for us. And that's why even starting businesses, like, why not go help other people with problems that you can solve?
The thing that's hard though, and this is what I struggled with, is people will always be more vocal about how they think you'll fail than how they think you'll succeed. So when I quit the law firm, I remember vividly this one partner at the law firm pulled me into his office and he said, "This is the biggest mistake of your life. You're going to fail. You're not going to make it. And guess what? What you can do is take away your 2 weeks notice and just pretend you never handed in your notice and we'll just move on from there." And like he just told me I would fail. And then after I quit, I had other lawyers tell me that I was fun employed and just not take anything that I was doing very seriously. And I feel like that's the hard part about trying to start something new is you just have a lot of people who are doubting you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I started AppSumo, my mentor was like, "This will not work." And the only person you need to listen to is your customers.
True.
Right. And I thought for me, when we're giving advice, when that person's giving you advice, it's really what he's telling himself. He's afraid. He wishes he could be you. He wishes he could have the courage, and you had it, and everyone has it. It's not like it's an exclusive club on Amazon where you have to have Amazon Prime to get it. Everyone can have the courage. And the thing that was always risky to me was having this shitty job, making not as much as I think, not doing what I like, not with people I want. And I don't think it has to be risky. I think it's risky to have the job, but start these side hustles, start posting social media, start making cookies, start building the software. And as it gets to your freedom number, this is what I talk about in the book, then quit the job. You don't have to go quit it and then try to hopefully get to these numbers. I think that to me seems risky.
It is.
Did you have income by the time you made the quit?
No, I took a very risky approach, but I was working 100-hour weeks. So it literally physically was probably impossible for me to start a business while working at the law firm.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I like this a lot. I feel like it's turned into motivational talk.
I mean, that's the thing is like, yeah, it is motivation. It's that people realize, I think this is the thing I've realized in my life is that people don't believe how great their life can actually be. That's what I've noticed. They don't actually, I'm like, tell me where you want to be at the end of this year. Just literally write a fiction story and you're the character and live that story. And if you start today, you will get there by the end of the year. And I noticed for myself, I didn't believe it. Like if you would have told me I'd be in my house, being on shows like this, with my partner who's just so amazing and how I even feel about myself. Like, I don't think I've ever felt this good about myself. And it still, comes and goes. I don't think I would have believed it even a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But it is having optimism. It is practicing. Here's where I can go. And then taking action each day to build up that confidence.
But the one thing you can be sure of, you may not know where you're going to be a year from now, but you can be sure that if you don't change anything today, you're going to be at the same place a year from now.
That is true. That is true. I do think it is the maxim of like, you're still going to be the same person, with or without the money. It is better to have the money because then you can hire a good therapist. But, like even Monday, I was really emo all day. And I think through therapy and business coaching and getting, maturing and taking action, I'm like, this is just a minor thing. It's going to pass. And let's not make it a major thing. And I don't know, just like how we learn about ourselves as we do these things and face, fun challenges. Face like, oh man, I've always thought I could do a business. Let me at least give this a shot.
Have you had a true $1 million weekend where you've made $1 million in the weekend?
I have launched a business that will make $1 million, but no, I have not made $1 million. In the next, I will bet, how much would I bet? Would I bet $1 million? I would bet $1 million that in the next decade, someone will make $1 million in a weekend.
That you will?
No, that someone who reads the book will.
Oh.
100%. I'm seeing it work. And what was it? A month ago, I did the weekend myself again and again. I've done this a lot of times. I've done it 8 times. We did a DocuSign alternative. And let me contrast this. A few months before that, I wanted to show an example and I tried to launch home ergonomics optimization. So like where you have a desk, how in your desk and you're like sitting like this.
Yeah.
I found someone and it was $200 and I'm like, this is the coolest thing I've ever spent money on. I was like, everyone who works from home needs to have their home office optimized for like their seated position.
I need that. My back is hurting as we're talking.
That's what I'm talking about. But I'll tell you,
weird twisty thing.
And so I followed the $1 million weekend process and I could not get one freaking customer. I could not beg for a customer. True story, right? That's part of a process. Great. I got another weekend. So last month, and this will be a 7-figure business within 12 months. Last month, I said, hey, I hate DocuSign. I hate HelloSign. So let me see if I can validate that other people have this problem too. So I went through my Gmail and I searched everyone in the past 5 years who sent me a DocuSign. And I just called them, said, hey, what do you think about DocuSign? Okay. What would you like? Think about an alternative. What would you want in it? Okay. Would you want to pay for it today and pre-ordering? Okay. I sold $3,000 worth at $100 each, 30 people in one day within the weekend. And now it launched. We had about 30 days later, we launched it. And I believe in the next 12 months, it'll be at least $1 million business.
Is it subscription or lifetime?
Lifetime.
Oh, that's what I need.
Breezedoc.com.
I need it.
And that was all validated in a weekend. And that's the whole point of $1 Million Weekend. It's funny, I if you look at my background, I didn't do any internet get rich quick schemes. You can see all the companies I've ever worked for. You can see all the stuff I've done. And so people are like, oh, they're going to really get $1 million in a weekend. It's like, yes, in the next 10 years, someone will do it. But it's about launching the business that will be $1 million and beyond in the weekend.
So the podcast is called Erica Taught Me, but really today is all about Noah taught me. So what do you want people to walk away saying, Noah taught me this?
I'm going to give everyone an action item for them to do and realize the power of now. Go look at your bill, go pull up on your phone your bill, and go ask one of the providers that you don't care for a discount today. And I think if you actually look in your inbox, look in your credit card bill, look online, and you ask, and you do it today, you start realizing like, oh, wow, like things can actually start happening. I can start making changes. Now that's kind of a silly example, but everyone can do that literally today.
I financially approve. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yay! If you've enjoyed the episode, please take a moment to leave a review. It really helps support what we're doing. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you next Tuesday on a brand new episode of Erica Taught Me.